So this is my story. I've literally told this thing like 1,000 times, but it felt important to do it this way because I hope that it'll have some longevity and that the Lord will use it to encourage you and to hopefully draw you closer to Him. My father was a traveling evangelist, and I would literally go from church camp to church camp throughout my childhood. But the man that I saw behind a pulpit and the one I saw behind closed doors were not the same. I would literally see him get up, preach about Jesus, but then at home, I would see him physically abuse my mom. So I decided if God's real, I don't want anything to do with him and forget about this Jesus guy. So around 13, I began to rebel heavily. I started smoking and drinking and marijuana. And by the time I'm 15, it's cocaine, pills, I'm selling drugs. By the time I'm 17, I'm a full out crystal meth addict. And I'm using for around 6 years. I am the guy who hates Christianity. Like, two things were gonna happen if you mention the name Jesus around me. I was either gonna cuss you out or knock you out. There was no middle ground. And during this time, people were praying for me. I mean, they told me how they would pull over on the side of the road and be uncontrollably crying over me coming to Jesus. So I knew he was after me. And somebody came and gave me this book called The Case for Christ by Lee Strobel. And having told you how much I hated Christianity, this is the most miraculous part of my story because I accepted this book without clawing somebody's eyes out. I was like, cool, whatever, you know? Fast forward, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm in this room reading this book about Jesus. I literally have drugs on the side table next to me. Nobody's like in the corner playing a harp. It is seemingly the most improbable place for a wounded pastor's kid to get saved. But it's the kindness of a very real God to do it this way. And in this moment, we begin to have this internal dialogue where God said, Stephen, I'm real and I'm good and I have a purpose for your life. What are you gonna do about it? And I remember thinking to myself, God, I want to give you my life. I want to quit all this addiction, all this darkness, all this depression and anger I've known for so long. God, I want to, but I can't. I remember during this point of my life being up for 4 days straight and thinking to myself, you're going to die at a young age because you can't quit. And residing in that place, you don't get further in the pit than that. So when I said to God, I want to do this, but I can't, I meant it. Then, in a thought more powerful than words, the Holy Spirit spoke something into me that changed me for the rest of my life. He said, Stephen, you won't do it. I'll do it. And Christianity 101, I mean the basics. I took God at His word. I believed Him like I believe I'm breathing air. And I fell to my knees that night in that room and I gave my life to Jesus. I went from addiction to redemption, from meth addict to worship leader, because God is real. It's all real. Everything you've ever dared to hope or dream about Him is real. So as you hear me telling the story right now, I have one question for you. Do you want to know what you look like fully alive? The real you. Because I promise you, I was the last guy you would ever think would come to Jesus. Not in a million years would I have thought He would take what marked my life with shame and use it to mark my life with His glory. So I'm going to ask you again, do you want to know what you look like fully alive? The real you. The you full of hope. The you full of peace, the you full of joy, the real you. Because in Hebrew, the word testimony literally means do it again story. And God is saying right now, I want to do it again, and I want to do it with you.